You're watching Adam the Bull on the Bet Rivers Network.
Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. If you're not using the Bet Rivers app, you are missing out. Parlays, point spreads, over-unders, whatever you're looking for, we've got you covered. If you look at the Bet Rivers app or website right now, I'm on the website, you'll see that the Super Bowl has the Chiefs as a 2-point favorite over the Eagles, of course, on a neutral field. The Chiefs are minus 136 on our win line. The Eagles plus 112. The over-under is 49.5. So there you go. I see we got, here's a parlay we got for you on there. I'm seeing already. Patrick Mahomes, anytime touchdown. Kareem Hunt, anytime touchdown. And Xavier Worthy, anytime touchdown. Plus 2,900. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I'm going to go with, I don't feel good about Xavier Worthy getting a touchdown, but that's why it's plus 2,900. You got to take a chance sometimes and go for it. The Chiefs on the money line and under 49.5 plus 210. Anyway, go on the website, go on the app and see all the different possibilities for you to win some cold, hard cash. All right, coming up today, we'll talk about this later, the struggles of the Cavaliers. But we begin with the championship games and its connection to the Browns. The game, well, the first game was, I didn't even want to waste any time on it because it was so one-sided. Dominant performance by the Eagles, the Washington Commanders, who had a great season. I'm not going to say they weren't ready for prime time. I think that's unfair. They had a bad day. It just all fell apart for them. They went way further than anybody could have imagined. It's a fantastic season. There's no shame in Washington, but Philadelphia just destroyed them. 55-23 the final. But let's talk about the AFC Championship game, which, as usual, lived up to the billing. And as usual, the Kansas City Chiefs came out on top. 32-29 the final. The last play for the Bills is a crazy throw by Josh Allen. I don't know how he made that throw under immediate pressure right in the arms of Dalton Kincaid, and Kincaid drops the ball. And that takes me to something that just really irks me. We have this, I guess, rivalry between, there is a rivalry between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Amongst the players, there's a ton of respect. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen have a ton of respect for each other, as they should. They're two great quarterbacks, two of the best quarterbacks in the league. And yet, with the fans, there's so many fans that embarrass themselves on this argument, it drives me nuts. There's some fans that give Lamar a pass when he doesn't win a playoff game, but blame Josh Allen even if he plays well, and vice versa. There's some that give Allen a pass and blame Lamar. I think the whole thing is stupid, all right? Neither Lamar nor Josh Allen were amazing this postseason. And I'm going to stick with Josh Allen for now because I just saw some just ludicrous comments yesterday. Josh Allen has played good to great in all of his playoff games against the Chiefs. Now, ultimately, their team has not been able to get it done. I'm not even going to say he hasn't been able to get it done because 2 years ago, you can't play any better than he did. Like, he did it all, and the defense gave up a touchdown in 15 seconds. How you'd possibly blame that on Josh Allen? He's a magnificent player. So is Lamar Jackson. Patrick Mahomes is also a magnificent player, and he also has the best coach in the league. And I guess if you want to argue, a more clutch gene than the other two. I don't really buy that. I think part of it's circumstance. He's just super duper special. Only Joe Burrow and Tom Brady have beaten him in the playoffs, and Joe Burrow hasn't done anything in the playoffs since beating Patrick Mahomes. I think he's got one playoff win since then. If we make the only qualification for being a great clutch quarterback that you got to win the Super Bowl, well, I guess Patrick Mahomes is the only clutch quarterback in the entire league right now. I get it. You got to put him up on a perch by himself. That's fair. But to totally dismiss Allen and Lamar is just ridiculous. And you people that do that sound like fools. When did it become that you're only great if you win a Super Bowl? I get it. Yes, we judge. Like, on no planet, and it's too early to say, but okay, I'll use a different example. Dan Marino is a better quarterback than Eli Manning. Nobody could tell me otherwise. Now, maybe you're going to disagree. There's nothing you could say that would convince me that Eli Manning is a better quarterback than Dan Marino. I'm not saying Eli Manning's a bad quarterback. I'm just saying he's not, to me, not even close to Dan Marino. And yet, some people will think of Eli more highly regarded because he won 2 Super Bowls and Dan Marino didn't win any. And you want to argue, okay, well, in Dan Marino's time, the quarterback didn't have as much of an influence. Okay, I'll buy that to some degree. And if you want to say Patrick Mahomes is better than Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, I'm not necessarily going to disagree with you there. But let's not – the only great quarterbacks are not guys that won a Super Bowl. Plus, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are still pretty young. Now, so is Mahomes. And maybe we can have another conversation if they both retire without winning a Super Bowl. But Peyton Manning hadn't won a Super Bowl at this point in his career. Neither had John Elway. So I get it. Mahomes and the Chiefs have had their number. They've had everybody's number. Patrick Mahomes is not the elite quarterback. And if you're saying stupid things like, oh, Josh Allen's a good quarterback, he's not elite, you're a fool. Now, another crazy thing I saw yesterday on social media that I wanted to get into is Kareem Hunt. I saw media members, my buddy Darryl Ryder, love him, known him for years, saying, taking shots at the Browns for not re-signing Kareem Hunt. Now, I got 7,000 things I've shit on the Browns for. I could give you 7,000 more probably that I could shit on the Browns for. But I'm not going to shit on them for not re-signing Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt had 7 touchdowns. He is a piece that matters on the Chiefs. He would not have mattered on the Browns. The Browns would have been 3-14 with him or without him. Kareem Hunt at one point was an excellent explosive back. He hasn't been that in a long time. Is he a contributor? Is he a piece that matters? Absolutely. He plays a valuable role for the Chiefs. I'm not denying that. But let's not get carried away. He's 53rd out of 61 eligible running backs in terms of yards after contact. His yards per attempt is 3.5. He is not an explosive back. 11 of his 16 touchdowns the last 2 years have been 3 yards or less. Only one, and that was the first of the 16 last year, has been for more than 7 yards. I don't say that to say he sucks. It's not. He's not a special back. He plays a role. He does it well, but he's not a special back. So let's not get carried away. Jerome Ford was better after contact. He's better at yards per carry on a much worse team with no quarterback. And that's not to tell you that, again, I'm not saying Kareem Hunt sucks. I'm just saying he's not a stud. He's not a difference maker. He's a piece. He's a piece that matters. I like that term that I've been using. But he's not a superstar. And the reason the Browns, and again, the reason the Browns are winning or losing has nothing to do with Kareem Hunt. It has to do mostly with shit quarterback play. This year, I'd say they had shit coaching. As you know, I've gone back and forth with my thoughts. I thought Kevin Stefanski should be fired towards the end of the year. I changed my mind right at the end of the year. And I'm still there. And I still want to see him be in charge, take charge, and it's all on him. And if the Browns don't make progress next year, then you're going to have to change the coach. What progress is, I can't say for sure. If you ask me right now, are the Browns going to be in the playoffs in 2025? I'd say probably not. Do the Browns have to make the playoffs for Kevin Stefanski to keep his job? No, not in my mind. Does it have to be clear that they're heading in the right direction? Yes. How do you define that? I think it's one of those things. It's that you just know it, right? I hate the rules in the NFL about a catch. We all played football as kids, even if we didn't play at any kind of high level. We all played. Everybody knows what a catch is when they see it. They've made the rule, and it's stupid. Doesn't make any sense. There's plays where you're like, that's obviously a catch. He didn't make a football move. He didn't take that third step, whatever it is. So stupid. We know when a catch is a catch. Same thing. You know when there's progress, at least outwardly. Now, there may be some things behind the scenes that we certainly don't know, but you could tell when a franchise has made progress. You saw it 2 years ago with the Lions when they had been in the doldrums for so long. And by the end of the year, there was a question about keeping Dan Campbell or not, but they had made progress. It was clear they were trending in the right direction. And again, does that mean in the AFC, in this division, can I count on the Browns making the playoffs? No. Last year was crazy. With the quarterback play they had in 2023, they had no business making the playoffs, winning as many games as they did. They overachieved. They have talent. And now we're going too far the other way. Now we're diminishing all their talent. Well, what's the truth? The truth is they weren't as good as last year's team, and they're not as bad as this year's team. But as long as they get shitty quarterback play, they're going to be closer to this year's team than next. So they got to get better quarterback play. Now, it's unlikely they're going to get good enough quarterback play in 2025 to make the playoffs because it doesn't appear to be, again, we don't know for sure. There doesn't appear to be a clear player that they can acquire that will definitely give them top 10 quarterback play next year. That seems like a long shot. And if they can't get that, then they almost certainly will not go to the playoffs. But can they draft well? Can they develop well? It looked like the drafting has been subpar under Andrew Berry. The development has been a mixed bag. I would have said a little more on the plus than the minus before this year, and this year it felt like a lot of that went backwards. But it's all on the line this year. And it's not going to be about this year a fringe running back or a 32-year-old defensive lineman. It's about the Browns can't really turn this around in free agency and trades, most likely. They've tried that. It hasn't worked. Sometimes it does. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It does. We hoped it would work with Deshaun Watson like it did with Kurt Warner. Went the opposite direction. With Kurt Warner, it worked. With Deshaun Watson, it didn't. And now the Browns have to do it another way. And the way they do that, having a first-round pick for the first time in a long time, is they have to get it right. And they haven't gotten that first-round pick right in a very long time. Andrew Berry used it on Jed Wills, bust. Greg Newsome, disappointing. And then the next three on Deshaun Watson. The Browns haven't gotten elite impact from their first-round pick in a long time. They need to get that this year. Whoever they end up drafting, whether they believe in these quarterbacks and taking them, or whether they don't take somebody else, they have 5 picks in the top, 105. They have 2 picks in the top 35. The Browns have to hit it out of the freaking park in this draft. Everything else everything else comes from there. If they do it, they'll be on the right path. If they don't, if they blow it in the draft, it's all going to go to shit, and everybody's going to get fired at the end of next year. I do want to talk about the Cavs for a little bit before we move on, or before we wrap up. The Cavs have lost 3 in a row as of this afternoon. Now, they are playing tonight, so you may hear this after that's over. But overall, in the bigger picture, whatever happens against the Pistons, they haven't been playing particularly well of late. And despite that, they've still won 80% of their games. And I've seen some of the panic set in with fans. I think we should have been more realistic about how good this team is, right? I think this is a very good team. It should have been more clear to us that they didn't belong in the conversation with some of the all-time great teams. They just don't have that level of talent. But that doesn't mean this team is not extremely talented and can't win a championship. I still believe they can win a championship despite the slump they've been in. They have not played well the last 2 weeks, whatever it is. They've lost a number of games. They're really out of the mix for an all-time record. But they're still going to win, most likely, 60-plus games. And I still expect them to have a great run in the playoffs. I think it's imperative that they get the number 2 seed. You don't want to have to, if you play the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that's no short thing because obviously the Knicks are a dangerous team as well, and the Bucks have been playing much better. Same thing with Indiana. I mean, those teams have both won 8 of their last 10. But the Celtics are the team you worry about in terms of the number 1 seed. The Celtics have moved as within 4.5 games, 5 in the loss column. That's still a pretty significant lead. But, we still got 35, 37 games left. I mean, it could go away. The Cavs must refocus on the defensive end. Their defense has been awful. And they've got to make sure, and they've had dealt with some injuries. Okay, everybody does. Early in the year, they were healthy. A lot of other teams were injured. They took advantage of it. Now some teams have taken advantage of them. They got to bounce back here. That Philadelphia loss in particular was embarrassing. The Sixers stink. They were without they're one of their best players, 2 of their best players. All right, you had the slump. Now let's right the ship and start winning some games. But it's got to start on the defensive end. Part of the reason the defense has been bad in January is they've played better competition. Another part is some of the injuries to guys, including Isaac Okoro, who's a good defender. But a part of it is also they're just not playing as well. The offense is not the problem. They're still scoring a ton of points. They're still, for the most part, shooting well from 3 as they have all year. They've got to play better defensively. Early in the season, they were great on offense and very good on defense. Right now, they're still great on offense, but they've been shit on defense. That's got to change. All right, folks. Thanks as always for joining me. I'm going to have on Wednesday, Sean King joins me in the bullpen. He and I got into it. I've interviewed him here. I've interviewed him on UCSS. We get a little feisty, so we'll see what he has to say. I be curious his thoughts on the Browns potentially taking a quarterback. He probably just wants them to stick with Jameis. So Sean will join me on Wednesday's podcast. And then Thursday, as always, Dustin and I will be live at 2 p.m. Until then, everybody have a great day. Thanks to Max and Z for producing. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. You've been listening to The Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. See you, everybody.